You got some pushback during our we did a panel a couple of weeks or not months ago, maybe, with some traditional conservatives on it.
Yeah, Tim and Andrew.
Yeah, and they were, I think Tim offered some pushback because you said you didn't have a problem with women working.
I have a problem with women not working.
Okay. Tell me why.
Get it? Yeah, gee, why should women have to work?
Well, because I think their argument would be that they should raise the children, and that's what's best for the kids.
Well, you know something? That's work too. I mean, if they're actually going to raise children and they're going to take care of a home and manage a home, I respect that. I don't have a problem with it, but I didn't need that from somebody. So why should I settle for somebody that can't carry their weight financially?
Right.
And the thing is, I had to make that decision first before I was ever in a position to look at this and say, I'm never going to be with a deadbeat woman again. She better show up with her purse and having a job or some sort of income, or we're not going to even get started here. I had to make that decision before it ever happened. And I'm happy to say I'm 22 years into a relationship I wouldn't trade for the world. But it wasn't because I got on my knees in front of her or threw flowers at her or told her how beautiful she was every 5 minutes. I don't need that. And I don't think anybody does. I think that all this stuff it's infantilizing when you treat women that way. You treat them like they can't accomplish anything, like they can't buy anything, they can't do anything. With all respect to Tim and Andrew, I think these are products of very emotionally insecure men that need a child to take care of, not a partner in life. I don't want a child to take care of. And sorry to say, you look at the population of women out there, average emotional intelligence is about 14 years old, no matter how old they are in real life, on a good day.
Well, yeah, actually, I tweeted that I didn't think women matured past like 17 at best.
That's pretty good.
I think like the best are like 17, 18.
I've been with a couple that were like 4 or 5.
Yeah. Well, I don't see a problem with women working, especially when you consider that women, and that's what they'll say. They'll say, Pearl's a feminist. And I'm like, well, it doesn't change the world I'm in. Like, a feminism won. I don't know what you guys want me to do. I can't change it. But what I meant by that, though, is if the kid's in public school, why can't she get a job? The kid's gone. I think what's public school, 7 hours a day? 6?
Yep.
And then I don't. When I was a kid, everyone did after school activities. So you would stay. We had practice at 3:30.
Right.
You were there until 5 or 6. You came home at 7.
But Oprah comes on it too.
But I'm like, what are you doing all day? It's not like we have air fryers now. You can make like a perfectly good meal in an air fryer in 45 minutes. And it's like, it's not bad food either. It can be healthy and good for you. So what are you guys doing all day?
Well, and a lot of guys are finding now they don't want women to cook for them. They're fine cooking for themselves or cooking for others. I'm the cook in my home. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. Yeah, I said that on a podcast recently that men are better cooks than women now.
Well, you look at it, some people will say it's misogyny and women's oppression, but you look at all the, outrageously successful chefs in the world, they're all men.
Yeah. Then I'm like evil, What?
That's why I'm here.
Yeah. What pushback have you gotten the last the last 20 years?
Oh God, I've lost count of the hit pieces in the media. I mean, most of them started back in 10 years ago when we did our first international conference on men's issues in Detroit. It wasn't too long after that the SPLC decided we're a hate group, that A Voice for Men was. So eventually they listed us as a hate group. It's really interesting. And I turned over A Voice for Men to Robert Brockway, a guy out of Australia, a great men's rights activist there that is doing a bang-up job running it now. And I just handed it over to him and started XY Crew, which is a men's groups that we're doing online, and we do real-world events. And the SPLC said, okay, A Voice for Men's not a hate group anymore, but XY Crew is,
Wow.
simply because it changed ownership. I've had that pushback. I've had death threats. I've had people write me emails. Oh my God, a woman wrote me once, and I don't know if it was true or not. She said, "My husband listened to you and he blew his brains out. Thanks for killing my husband." I get stuff like that fairly regularly.
So what keeps you going? Like, why do you keep doing it? If you get, because you could
Maybe
just,
I'm
you could.
nuts. I don't know. That's part of the problem, is that I don't know when to quit. Um, I think what keeps me going is that I was just never a guy that liked injustice.
Yeah.
And what I see happening in family courts now, this is why I get so frustrated with these guys that are out there just saying, marry the hoe. I'm like, are you crazy?
You saw my Trent
Well,
horn.
yeah. Marry the hoe. Just no matter what she does, go back and redouble your efforts and take care of her and be kind to her and give her everything she wants, or you're not a man. This is the underlying theme
Yeah, you're
behind
not a
all of
real
it.
man if you don't marry.
You're not if you don't marry, and if she's not happy.
You don't continue your bloodline.
And then these guys, we get them in family courts, and the family courts are they're the biggest rollback of civil rights since Jim Crow in this country. The way they just step on families, destroy them. They have an opportunity in family courts, if they were doing their job, to help a family restructure post-divorce, to keep the relationships intact with the children and both parents, and to make rulings according to what is really in the best interest of the child. They don't do that at all. They destroy children in family courts, and they destroy the fathers and ultimately the mothers by selling them a bill of goods. Women end up much more likely to be below the poverty line post-divorce than they are while they're married. Their lives deteriorate, the children's lives go downhill, the men's lives deteriorate, and we find that normally there's a 4-to-1 ratio of suicide between men and women. When you're talking about divorce and breakup of long-term relationship, it goes to 11-to-1. That's how bad things are out there, and that bothers me.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing. There's never any push for reform before men get married. It's always just man up and take the risk anyway, and the risk is worth the reward. But none of these guys have seen the other side of divorce and what happens to these men. What are some of the worst horror stories that you have witnessed over the years?
The suicides. Um, I have talked to several men that ultimately killed themselves because of family court issues. Um, Other things, I mean, children getting kidnapped, taken overseas, men chasing them, trying to find their children, just the depression that goes with that, and the fact that the system does not care. The people that create this won't do anything about it. Almost every divorce is a nightmare story. Guys get financially eviscerated. They're often, the cases in family courts are based on false accusations. The first thing family law attorneys do, particularly with women, is saying, "I think he hit you, didn't he?" And until they get that yes, and then once that goes out, the police will investigate. Most of the time they find there hadn't been an assault here, there's no charges. But by that time, the court has the accusation, and they issue ex parte restraining orders and everything else just based on the accusation. No proof whatsoever. It is amazing what they do. They pluck guys from their home.
Is that why the lawyers pander? Oh, that just made a lot of, because sometimes I'll talk to lawyers and I just feel like they're lying, and
They are.
I don't know why, but I just like there's one that replied to me recently when I said men like in general are better parents, and he was like, well, no, you don't always know that, da, da, da. And I was just like, yeah, but you can look at abuse stats and you can come to a conclusion. I'm not saying it's 100%. Some men are terrible dads, just like
Sure.
some women, but I was I always find it odd when someone's arguing with me about a fact, and it just the way they react to that is just very strange, I guess.
Well, you always have to remember that between the judge and the two attorneys that are involved in any divorce, these people play golf together.